My beautiful brothers and sisters, there is a moment in your life when heaven starts revealing things that your heart has longed for, but only after your spirit has matured to handle them. And I came to tell you today, not everything is delayed. Some things are protected. Some doors didn't open, not because God forgot you, but because he was preparing you. Some blessings weren't denied, they were withheld. Because a loving father doesn't give keys to a child who's still learning how to walk. You see, God is not moved by your timeline. He's moved by your transformation. He's not looking at your calendar, he's watching your capacity. And there are signs, there are shifts, there are supernatural indicators that begin to appear in your life when God knows you're ready. This word is not for the casual listener. This is for the one who has been hidden, for the one who has been waiting, for the one who has asked God when and heard nothing but silence. Let me prophesy to you today. When God knows you're ready, you won't have to chase it. You won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. You'll see it and it will be undeniable. It will be unmistakable. It will be God. Are you ready to learn what those signs are? Are you ready to discern what you've been overlooking? Are you ready to walk boldly into what's been waiting for you? Then let's go deep. There comes a sacred moment in your walk with God when the very things that once pulled on your attention, drained your energy, or stirred your emotions no longer have a grip on you. It's not that the world suddenly changed. It's that you did. It's a sign, a spiritual signal that heaven has marked you ready for more. When you begin to lose interest in what once distracted you, it means the cravings of your soul have shifted. The appetite of your spirit has matured, and your vision has cleared from the noise of things that once felt necessary, but were never meant to be permanent. That's powerful. You stop responding to every call that used to stir your insecurity. You stop chasing people, places, and patterns that once validated your brokenness. You stop entertaining environments that were never built to hold your purpose. And this isn't because you're trying harder. It's because grace has grown louder within you. When God knows you're ready, he begins to remove the allure of the counterfeit. He begins to dull your taste for empty affirmation. He allows certain things to lose their flavor, to lose their spark, because he's awakening your spirit to something far greater than temporary satisfaction. You begin to discern the cost of distraction. You begin to recognize how much time you've wasted, how many cycles you repeated, how much peace you forfeited because you were busy feeding a hunger that didn't come from God. And that revelation, when it hits your heart, it changes you. It sobers you. It recalibrates your discernment. You don't need a sermon to remind you. You don't need a crisis to shake you. You just know it's time to move different. The things that once lit up your emotions begin to fade. And instead of chasing noise, you begin to pursue depth. That's a sign that God is shifting your identity to match your destiny. Distractions often show up as good things, familiar things, things that once served a purpose in a former season. But when God begins to call you higher, he starts shutting the emotional doors that those distractions used to walk through. And it doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like disinterest. Sometimes it feels like quiet disconnection. Sometimes you look at what once consumed you and you realize it no longer speaks to you. It no longer feeds you. It no longer fits you. That's not boredom. That's breakthrough. You begin to guard your time, your energy, your mind with a holy intentionality. You stop entertaining conversations that drain your focus. You stop scrolling past things that once triggered comparison. You stop responding to chaos that once made you feel needed. You stop proving yourself in rooms that no longer require your voice. And all of that is evidence of spiritual growth. It means you're not as easily swayed. You're not moved by what's loud. You're led by what's lasting. It means your eyes are fixed, your heart is clearer, and your spirit is no longer tolerating what your calling has outgrown. This is not something you can manufacture. It doesn't come from willpower. It comes from surrender. It's the fruit of intimacy with God. Because when you truly begin to abide in his presence, he begins to detox your soul from the things that kept you small. He begins to wean you off the need for approval, applause, and constant attention. And suddenly, the places that used to thrill you now feel too noisy. The relationships that used to occupy your mind now feel misaligned. The activities that once filled your schedule now feel like a waste of oil. You're not trying to be deep, you're just finally walking in depth. You're not trying to be better than others, you're just finally choosing better for yourself. This is where clarity starts to feel like protection. You no longer ask why certain doors are closing. You thank God they did. You no longer chase after what used to affirm you. You realize your identity was never meant to come from that in the first place. Your soul begins to crave stillness over stimulation. You choose presence over performance. You hunger for real encounters over empty noise. And you begin to understand that God was never late. He was just waiting for you to become uninterested in what couldn't carry the weight of your next season. This is the moment where readiness begins to take shape. Not because your life is perfect, not because everything is in place, but because your perspective has changed. Your discernment has sharpened. Your posture has shifted. You no longer get distracted by what others are doing because you're too focused on what God is building in you. You no longer get drained by things that used to detour your emotions. You have peace that doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from clarity. And that clarity is what opens the door to new dimensions. This is what heaven watches for. Not perfection, not performance, but posture. And when your posture reflects that you're no longer emotionally tethered to distractions, heaven says, now they're ready. Now they can be trusted. Now I can send the real thing, the next thing, the heavy thing, the thing that was delayed, not because they weren't worthy, but because they weren't ready. But now their vision has shifted. Now their craving is for the eternal. Now they don't need noise to feel valuable. Now they don't need attention to feel alive. Now they are rooted in the secret place. Now they are walking with spiritual sobriety. Now they are becoming who I always saw them to be. There is a divine rhythm that begins to unfold in your life when God knows you're ready. It is a shift that cannot be explained by hustle, effort, or human strategy. It is when opportunities begin to find you, not because you chase them, but because your character caught up with your calling. This is the grace that flows when your identity is rooted in the secret place and not in performance. This is the flow that happens when heaven opens doors no man can shut, and suddenly things you were striving for begin to arrive without striving. This is what happens when preparation meets divine timing. God doesn't reward panic. He honors posture. And when your posture reflects maturity, surrender, and spiritual alignment, you attract what you were once chasing. The opportunities that begin to find you are not random. They are the manifestation of what God already authored. They are not signs of luck. They are signs of alignment. You begin to notice favor in places where you didn't even apply. People begin to mention your name in rooms you've never entered. Invitations begin to come not because you promoted yourself, but because you protected your oil. When God knows you're ready, He sends opportunities that match your anointing, not your ego. He sends opportunities that require your growth, not your exhaustion. They stretch you, but they don't strip you. They challenge you, but they don't consume you. That's how you know they're from Him. The blessing of readiness is not in how much effort you exert. It's in how deeply you've surrendered. God cannot trust you with what you idolize. He cannot release the weight of your neck if you're still addicted to applause. He cannot send divine doors if you're going to turn them into stages of self-glorification. But when you stop chasing and start abiding, you begin to magnetize what's meant for you. You begin to attract opportunities that don't come with manipulation, compromise, or hustle culture. They come with confirmation. They come with peace. They come with a sense of this is God written all over them. You don't have to strive for what God has already spoken. The striving stops when you realize the harvest is connected to obedience, not burnout. When you are ready, the thing you are praying for doesn't just show up. It shows up with clarity. It shows up with timing. It shows up with the resources and the alignment that prove God's hand is all over it. The people you need begin to find you. The doors you knocked on in the past with no answers suddenly swing open. And it's not because the door changed. It's because you change. You're no longer coming with desperation. You're coming with discernment. You're no longer begging for rooms. You're walking with the grace to build your own. God promotes the prepared, not the popular. And preparation isn't always visible. It happens in the hidden places, in the prayers that nobody sees, in the healing you committed to, in the forgiveness you released, in the character you built when no one was watching. That preparation creates a fragrance in the spirit. It speaks louder than your resume. It announces to heaven that you're not just available, you're trustworthy. And when heaven sees trustworthiness, favor begins to flow. Not the kind of favor that fizzles out after a season, but the kind that sustains you in your next assignment. Sometimes we confuse delay with denial, but in the spirit, delay is often development. God is not withholding opportunities to punish you. He's withholding them to protect you. Because what you're praying for might break you if it came before you were ready. It's mercy that kept you hidden. It's mercy that blocked some things. Because premature exposure can be more dangerous than obscurity. But when you've been processed in a secret place, when your heart has been purified, when your motives have been sanctified, God begins to let your name be known in circles that don't even know your story. That's favor. That's readiness. Actions that are from God don't bypass the need for faith, but they don't require you to abandon your peace. They don't force you to lose yourself. They don't demand that you dilute your values or violate your boundaries. They come clothed in grace. They come equipped with strategy. They come confirmed by the Holy Spirit. And you'll know it's God because you didn't manipulate it. You didn't force it.